Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. We are back, and we are doing a review tonight that could qualify for something in the book, but I'm going to use the book, the qualification of the book, on part 2. I'm reviewing tonight The Terminator, and then I will do Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and that one will qualify for something in the book, but as you can see, as I will tell you in the next review, either one of these could have qualified. So I tried to copy some of the questions that were in the book so that you get sort of the same information. Before we get too involved in this review, I wanted to let you know these videos are completely unedited and unfiltered. So whatever comes out of my mouth is whatever comes out of my mouth. If I say the wrong thing, I'll hopefully try to correct or put corrections in the description below. Also, I will give spoilers away, especially for the movie that I'm reviewing. Like I said, tonight is Terminator, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but tonight, and hopefully later on tonight, I'm going to record both of them, Terminator 2. Love both of these movies, but I'm going to give a bunch of spoilers away, so if you haven't seen them, which I feel is probably a rare thing, not too many people I know who have not seen these. Actually, I know more people who have seen 2 than 1. But anyway, if you haven't seen them and you want to avoid spoilers, you can. Sometimes I go off topic and talk about other movies and give spoilers away for other movies, but have no fear. I'll put a whole list of each movie that I mention underneath this video, and I will have a header that says spoilers. So if you want to avoid spoilers, you can by looking at that list of of movies that I mention in the video. So I have tons of notes. I could literally make a note of every scene in each one of these movies. I've seen them so many times. I love them. Got the shirts. I got like at least a half a dozen different Terminator shirts. I'm only reviewing. Many of you are like, well, there's a lot of Terminator movies. Yes, absolutely there are. But I am only reviewing the original and T2. Those are the only 2 that I'm going to review. I may talk about some of the other ones, but only doing reviews on those 2, because I think those are definitely the worthwhile ones. So let's get into this because I have tons of notes and I don't want this to be super long. But you know what? The time that it takes, these are more like podcasts. There's nothing on the video that you really need to see. I don't put anything in there. I don't edit these, like I said. So this is more like a podcast. You just stick it on your earphones or whatever and listen to it on the way to your work. Like I think my brother does. He listens to it on the way to work or the way home from work. These are unfiltered, so adult things are going to come out of my mouth. If your kids are in the room, you might want to put your headphones on or something like that. So, The Terminator, year released, 1984, actually October 26th, 1984. I say that for a reason. It has relevance in a note later on. So October 26, 1984. Aspect ratio 1.85:1. Running time an hour 47 minutes. Genre, IMDb has gotten crazy with the genres. I've mentioned that in the last couple of reviews. So you know what? I'm only putting the genres that I feel are most relevant. Action, sci-fi, adventure. Rated R, absolutely rated R. Date completed. I watched The Terminator yesterday. I could literally review these movies and not have to review them, but I did review them obviously because I've seen them both so many times. I've probably seen Terminator 1, The Terminator, hundreds of times, and I bet you I've seen Terminator 2 close to 5, 6, maybe even more 100 times. Plenty of times. This is not like my review of Blade Runner 2049, where I said my brother said he saw it like 700 and something times, and I was like, no. This is a movie that came in 1991. So between 1991 and now, I'm sure I've seen it about 500 times, or maybe more. I mean, who knows? So date completed. I watched The Terminator, and did my notes yesterday, April 23rd. I watched and did my notes tonight, April 24th, for T2, and I'm recording hopefully both videos tonight, but it's already 11 o'clock, so we'll see. I'm definitely getting the Terminator video tonight, and hopefully both videos. My rating, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Love this movie. I've got the poster on the wall in my bedroom. Love it. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, the one of my absolutely favorite actors of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not saying he's the best actor. I'm saying he's my favorite. Definitely a father figure for me since I was a kid. He made me want to be an actor. He got me into wanting to bodybuild, all this stuff. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, absolutely. Linda Hamilton, Michael Behan. Now, you know, some people say Michael Bean. I always say Bean. Michael Behan. Lance Henriksen, Earl Bowen, Paul Winfield, Bill Paxton's in this, Franco Columbo's in this, Rick Rossovich is in this. There's so many people in this, and over the years I've gotten to know who they are as time has gone by, whereas when this movie came out, I didn't know who all these people were, whereas now I have a huge, I'm a cinephile, I have a huge database of film knowledge in my brain, and I know who all these people are. The funny thing about Lance Henriksen, so when James Cameron was promoting this film, I'm almost positive he did not have Arnold on board yet, promoting getting this film made. Lance Henriksen would walk in to the meeting with the producers ahead of time in like full Terminator gear, glasses, and just stand there. Wouldn't say a thing, stand there stone-faced. And the rumor goes that, you know, the producers were uncomfortable until Jim Cameron showed up and then like pitched the movie. And that was kind of a way of pitching the movie. So apparently Lance Henriksen was on board way before most of the rest of the cast. Anyway, directed by James Cameron. Fantastic directing. Produced by Gail Ann Hurd. Now, I always thought that this one was produced by James Cameron and Gail Ann Hurd, but it isn't. It's just produced by Gail Ann Hurd. Written by James Cameron, Gail Ann Hurd, and it says additional dialogue by William Wisher, credited as William Wisher Jr. in this film. So I wanted to mention that because William Wisher is a writer for the second one, and I'll say that when I review the second film. Music by Brad Fidel. Oh, the music is wow. I mean, he did such a fantastic job. And I keep thinking to myself, like, do I know, aside from Terminator 2, do I know anything else that Brad has done? I'm going to look it up real quick because I'm like, he did such a great job with this music. Do I know anything? Has he done anything else that I would know? Oh, he did True Lies. He did Johnny Mnemonic, which I haven't seen since it came out. He did Timecop. Okay, he did a few things that I would have heard and would have known him from. Oh, he did Striking Distance. Oh, no, he's just in the orchestra. He didn't actually do the music for that. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, he did a couple of things that I would know him from. He does a great job in this. I mean, there's nothing like this soundtrack, and he does such a great job. Awards received. Okay, so this only received the highest honors, I guess you could say, award-wise, are Saturn Awards. Now, what they call it technically, you know how the Oscars are actually the Academy of Motion Picture Science, something like that. That's the Oscars. Well, Saturn Awards are the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. That's the actual terminology. So it won Best Sci-Fi Film of the Year, Best Writing. Oh God, the writing is great in both these films. The story and the dialogue, very, very well done. And Best Makeup, Stan Winston. God, Stan Winston, he's just one of those like once in a lifetime, like incredible artists. He did this. He did so many things. You know, Predator, Alien. He did just so many great, wonderful. The Thing, makeup and art. He did The Thing. Oh goodness, you know, I may be wrong about that. The Thing, Stan Winston. I may be wrong about that. I'm not going to take the time to look it up. Did he do The Thing? Is my brain like totally screwing me over right now? Oh, he did Pumpkinhead, which I love. Yeah. Also Lance Henriksen. Oh, he did do part of the thing. He did the dog scene. Anyway, he's just fantastic. I love him. Oh, have you seen this? Absolutely. I already said I've seen this so many times. So many times. I have it memorized. I could literally say line for line for line as the movie is going. I own it. I have seen it in the theater, but re-release of it many, many years later because I was, 3 when this movie came out. Would you recommend it? Yes. Anyone who likes sci-fi, this is like a foundation of sci-fi. I feel like we wouldn't have had The Matrix without the Terminator. It's the same type of storyline, the same, and we'll get into that. That's why I did the quote that I did in the beginning. We'll get. I think I talk about that a little bit later, but I might not about how the stories are so similar in foundation and theme. The machines. Distinction of mankind, a savior, all that is. These themes are in the Terminator. The essence of the Terminator. Which character would you like to play? Kyle Reese. I would love to play. He's, and I'm going to talk about this, man. Michael Biehn is just a fucking amazing in this movie. And just a shock that he wasn't nominated for an Academy Award, in my opinion. I know I'm biased because I love this movie, but wow, he should have been nominated. He's amazing. He stands out in this film as like one of the like top 5 underrated actors that I can think of in my brain. Maybe 5. He's just so fucking amazing, and nobody gave him enough credit. And in this, he's just wonderful. I think I have more notes to that, but Kyle Reese, I would love to have played that character as much as Michael Biehn is so perfect. It seems like such a fun character to play, and I would love to do it, but I know that there's no way that they would. If they were casting this movie now, they would never cast me as that. It's just not. They just wouldn't think of me as that character. Best line or memorable quote. One of the most quoted lines, one of the best lines of all cinematic history. I'll be back, and Arnold didn't want to say it. I'm sure most people know. I don't have to reiterate how, Schwarzenegger fought with Cameron about this line, and Cameron finally got him to say it. And look, it becomes one of the, there are anecdotes about how and why. If you want to look them up. That Arnold just didn't want to say this, and Cameron got him to say it, and it's just one of the most iconic lines of cinematic history now. And then the wonderful monologue, it always sticks in my brain from Michael Bihn's character from Kyle Reese. That Terminator's out there, and I'll say it later because I have notes for it. I won't say the whole thing there, but that line also is just always sticks out in my mind in this movie as one of the great lines of this film. I already said that. For 1984. A film filmed in 1983, released in 1984, it's surprisingly well done. Like, I'm watching it now going, wow, the effects, because most of the effects are so practical and not cartoon or trying to be computer at 1984. They didn't have a whole lot of computer to add to film, but the effects are so practical that it looks good even now. And I'm like, wow. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that I feel like is lost in film today. You're talking about, 40 years of film between 1984 and 2024 or 2025 we're in now. You're talking 40 years of film growth and effects and change in art. And I think that there's some things that I will mention in my notes that are lost in film today that love watching this film and just going, I miss that. I miss that about the 80s, films in the 80s. I miss that about films in the 70s because you watch films in the 70s and you see things and you're just like, I miss them doing this, taking their time in certain aspects. Now it's just like go, 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 go. And like no real, I'll get to it. No real feel to certain things. But anyway, the effects are great because they're all practical. Still looks pretty good. Some of it looks rough, but some of it looks great. I love the music, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the rumor was Brad did a lot of, especially the opening credits, the Terminator, the pounding, the mechanical music in the beginning. So the rumor is that he used pots and pans to get at his house to like get that sound and make it sound like that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's funny. I heard that one time and I was like, that's kind of cool. He was using like pots and pans to get that sound, to get that, music done that way. God, Arnold is huge in this film. And I just forget. It's been so long since I've been watching him. Again, 40 years. I've been watching him forever and ever and ever. And I forget, like, in early career, this and anything before it. Jayne Mansfield's story, Stay Hungry, anything before that. He is just massive. I mean, especially Stay Hungry because he's playing a bodybuilder. But, I mean, he's just massive. And you remember him from True Lies, you remember him from other things, and you're like, okay, he's big, he's fucking huge. But I mean, we have Bautista nowadays, and we have The Rock, and we have Dwayne Johnson, and we have Momoa. Even though Momoa is not quite as big as them, but he's still big guy. We have all these big actors, and we forget that Schwarzenegger was huge when he first started making film. Jeez. And this is, you see that opening scene where he shows up and he's naked and he's just massive. The Griffith Observatory where he shows up there. I've been up there, I've taken pictures up there. So now, watching it, having lived in LA for the past, almost 20 years now, I know some of the sites and it's kind of neat. Bill Paxton. Okay, like I said, some people might not realize that Bill Paxton is in this film. I may be wrong about this, but I believe there are 3 movies that Bill Paxton's in. This, True Lies, like I already mentioned, and I know that he is in Commando. He has one small part. He has a couple little lines. We lost him, sir. But I have a feeling there might be a 4th one he's in. And I might be wrong about that. Was he in The Kid and I? I don't know, but he might have been. Because, there were a couple, Tom Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis were in that. I got to remember Jamie Lee Curtis was in that. That's right. Anyway, Michael Biehn is just, like I said, so underrated. And in this film, he is like 100% believable in every scene he is in. I mean, even just at the beginning where he shows up and he takes off and he's just 100% believable in his character. He takes it on like 1,000% and it shows. It shows. I believe him. When he gets stopped by the cop and he asks the date, what day is it? The date. And he says, and the cop says, 12 May, Thursday. He said, what year? Okay, so this is why I mentioned the release date in the beginning. This got released in October 26th of 1984. In 84, May 12th was not a Thursday. It was a Saturday. Now, how can that be? If they filmed this in 83, released it in 84, how can Thursday, May 12th, be a Thursday in 83 and a Saturday in 84? Well, because 84 was a leap year. One of my brothers, my younger brother, my only younger brother, was born in 84, which was the leap year. So I think it's kind of funny that he's like 12 May, Thursday. And I'm like, that's not in 1984 when this was released. They filmed in 83. And yes, in 83, it was May 12th, was a Thursday. I love the Nikes he put on. Okay, I am not a shoe fan. I could care less what brand my shoes are. I really can. I would say 90% of the time I'm in flip-flops or no shoes at all because I get overheated a lot. When I ride, I have a pair of makeshift, like they're not official Chucks. Chuck. Oh my God. What are the Converse called? I totally lost it. Are they just called Chucks? Taylors. Chuck Taylors. I totally spaced on that. They're makeshift like Chuck Taylors. They look, the style, it all looks like Chuck Taylors, but they're made with leather and they're Harley Davidson stamped. So when I ride with them. But other than that, like I don't really care about brands of shoes. So I've never been like a Nike fan. I've never owned a pair of Nikes. But these Nikes that he puts on the film, I'm like, those are awesome. I would love to have those today. I know you can probably find a compromise and they're probably insanely expensive. But I just saw him put them on. I'm like, those are cool shoes. I like those. I made this note because I knew it's different than Terminator 2, which is years later. Almost 10 years later, they made Terminator 2. The police car, in LA, both of them are set in LA. The quote on the police car in this one, 1984, says, "To care and to protect." To care and to protect. And I know that's not right, or that's not the same as Terminator 2. When I was doing this, I couldn't remember what Terminator 2 is. I put it in the notes for Terminator 2. So when we get to that review, I'll tell you what it is. In this, it says to care and to protect. The big boy. When Sarah drives up and says, "Guard it for me, big buns," that statue looks exactly like, literally blocks away from here. I had breakfast yesterday at Bob's Big Boy. It looks like the same exact statue. I wonder if they borrowed the statue from Bob's Big Boy and used it at this restaurant, which I heard was a Caro's at the time, and they made it a Big Jeff's, I think it's called, or whatever. But that Caro's, if I remember correctly, is in like Pasadena or something like that, or was. It no longer exists, that restaurant. The Terminator taking the station wagon. Okay, so maybe most of you know this already. That was the last scene they filmed, when he breaks through the glass and takes the station wagon or whatever. That was the last scene they filmed. It was a pickup scene. It was just Arnold and James Cameron with a camera. They had no permits. They had no rights to be there, no rights to film, and they just went and they did it illegally because it was a pickup they really, really needed, and you have to establish him in that car, and so they did it, and like it was the last thing they filmed. But necessary scene, because without it, you wouldn't, like, where does he get a car? How did he get a car? I love that Arnold, like, perfected the acting for the Terminator. Here we are, I say he's my favorite actor. He's admitted in interviews, "I'm not an actor, I'm an action star." And he is. He really is. And I'm not saying that just because he's my favorite actor, that doesn't mean I think he's the best actor out there. I don't. He's my favorite actor because he's my favorite actor for completely other reasons. I find there are other actors who are better as far as quality acting is concerned, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I love that he, a professed not actor, action star, perfected the acting for a Terminator. He's just so brilliant at it. And you really have to see, like, it's like watching Silence of the Lambs. You've got to watch Silence of the Lambs if you really want to see, Anthony Hopkins at his best being that character, being Hannibal Lecter. In the other ones, he's playing a character that he's played before, so he's not really finding the character on his own and being the character on his own. And I think I mentioned that in my review of Red Dragon, is like, Red Dragon wasn't quite as good because he's acting like the character he was before instead of finding that character himself, which is what he did in the first film. So I'm saying Arnold, because the Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day are so vastly different, even though they are sequels, they are vastly different in storylines and character. You have to think of them as not really a sequel, even though they are. So Arnold perfected in the Terminator, and then again re-perfected in Terminator 2, what it is to be a Terminator, how it is to act as that character, and I love it. Who we would look at as a non-actor, like perfecting an acting technique for a character. just love it. He's just so great in this. You gotta really pay attention to what he does and not write off the things that he does. Just because he has hardly any dialogue doesn't mean anything. He does a great job in this film. Oh, I love that Sarah is just... Okay, so this is what I was talking about before. Something I feel like have we lost this? Do I have this note later? I probably do. I probably have it several times. Have we lost the ability to just show scenes of characters just being in their life? Just being. Instead of like every scene has to further the plot. Every scene has to further the plot because we have such a short attention span nowadays. We just want to go, go, go. Well, fuck that. Sometimes you need to just see the character being before you see the character change. And I love this scene where she's a waitress because until they talk about the police report on TV and the coincidence of the name, Sarah Connor, until that, we are just following her on her normal day. Yes, we as the audience see the Terminator. We as the audience know there's something more going on. She, as the character, Sarah, doesn't. And we just see her in a normal day. Nothing about that scene furthers the plot. Absolutely nothing. Which is fine. All we want to see is her in her life. And it's sucks that we don't really have those great scenes in great movies nowadays to just be. Don't further the plot. Just see who she is and how she is and let her have a day. It was a day. Like I said in my review of Blade Runner 2049, I picked that lineup and I use that sometimes. I don't use it all the time, but I do use it sometimes because of that movie. And she's just having a day. It's just it was a day, and she's just having that day, and it's not a great day. You know, look at it this way: in 100 years, who's gonna care? The ice cream in the pocket. Just I wouldn't have thought of that. What a great idea. You know, she's having a day, and it's great. Oh, and the line. Okay, because I'm wearing the shirt. So I'm wearing the shirt, the 45 long slide with laser sighting. Yes, love that line. That's what this shirt is all about. It's not just the Terminator poster shirt, but it is. So this scene is great. This quick little scene of the Terminator picking up weaponry. And I think I've noticed this before, but it's not always on the tip of my mind when I'm watching the movie. When I'm watching the movie, I'm kind of just engrossed in the characters, engrossed in the story, engrossed in what's going on. But tonight, or yesterday, I'm making notes. So I'm like, okay, I got to think about little things, got to think about the big things and the little things and everything. And this popped in my mind. When the Terminator asks for a phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range, and the guy's like, hey, just what you see, pal. I felt like that line is for us as the audience. There is no way the Terminator actually would have asked for that weapon. Why? Because the Terminator is a machine and knows in 1984 they did not have that technology. He would know that. Absolutely. 100%. There's no way he wouldn't know that. It's a computer. It's artificial intelligence. He would have known that. So he never would have asked for that because he would know that it wasn't available in 1984. I just think that line is for us, and it's cute and it's fun. And the guy's like, hey, just what you see here, pal. It's a little bit of a chuckle. It's not an outright laugh, but it's a little something. But tonight, or yesterday when I was making notes, I just went, whoa, that's so wrong. And I think I've thought about that in the past, but it's not always on the forefront of my mind because I just want to be in the film. I love seeing Arnold as the bad guy, which is something we just don't get to see. You know, I think that's why I love Sabotage so much. I've probably seen it. I have, no doubt, seen it the most of any of his post-gubernatorial, stint. His post-governorship. I've seen Sabotage the most out of any of the films he made afterwards. I love it, absolutely. I reviewed it, watched my review of it. He's kind of borderline, like, he's not the awesome, Boy Scout. We know him in all the other movies he's in that film. He's got tarnish around the wings. What was that? It's just some angels got some tarnish around the wings. I love that line. Anyway, in this, we get to see Arnold be a bad guy. And I love it. I love it. That is definitely something I wish I would get to see more of Arnold had done in his career. If he would have played more bad guys, I would have loved that. Just I know he's the epitome of the good guy, but he does such a good job in this. I want to see him as the bad guy, like an unstoppable bad guy. The truck foreshadowing. Okay, so foreshadowing is not always picked up, especially not the first time around. A lot of times it takes multiple viewings to go, oh, that's like, they're foreshadowing that. When he runs over the little semi-truck in his station wagon, when he goes to the first Sarah Connor's house, that's definitely foreshadowing to the truck in the end. The truck he drives at the end. The first Sarah Connor scene. I love how he is so emotionless. Sarah Connor, she says yes, and he just busts open the door and kills her. Like, no emotion. Like I said, he perfected being the Terminator. No real emotion, no real movement, no real... He's a machine doing a job. He looks like human, he moves like a human, but he's a machine doing a job, and he does a great job in that scene. Love it, love it, love it. Now, I remember, I made this note because it always pops up nowadays when I watch this film. I have seen this film, I would have to say, hundreds of times. And a lot of those views was when I was younger. This came out when I was 3. I'm sure I didn't see it until I was 10, maybe 8. Because I know I saw Commando was the first movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie I ever saw. And I saw that when I was about 8. So maybe I saw Terminator in the 8. I know I saw Conan the Destroyer way before I saw Conan the Barbarian, and I saw it multiple times way before I saw it because it was the funner one, and I guess the original was a little too serious for me as a kid. But I'm sure I saw Terminator plenty of times. I could probably say 100 times before I was a teenager. So I knew it by heart as a teenager, absolutely. The sounds, the dialogue, everything by heart. I owned it on VHS by the time I was a teenager. Absolutely, that's when I started, building my my film catalog, I guess you could say. The reason why I went off on that tangent is because the sound. I remember as a kid, every gun in this movie sounded like a 44 Magnum. Just loud and the same sound. Every single gun, no matter what the gun was, no matter what the change was, aside from the machine guns later on, every gun sounded like one particular gun, like a 44 Magnum, like just the loudest fucking hairy, dirty hairy gun, like huge and loud. I love that they went back and changed the sound so this 45 sounds more like a 45. It doesn't sound like a wheel gun, a loud 45 Magnum wheel gun. Like this sounds like a semi-automatic a 45, and I appreciate that. But the thing is, I'd seen it so many times, and that sound is so recognizable for me that when I watch it, every single time I watch it, and I hear the new sound of the 45, no matter how many times I've seen it as this sound, I still go, oh, that's not the sound I remember. That's not the sound I remember. But I'm glad they changed it because it sounds more accurate now. You're dead, honey. No, okay. So like I mentioned, so Sarah Connor's just having a day. And it's just a normal day. Even as the audience were like, okay, she's just having a normal day. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's a rough day, but nothing out of the ordinary until she hears that police report about Sarah Connor. Okay, so this is only the first Sarah Connor, so she's like, it's dismissive, it's coincidental, and she's gonna continue with her day as she should, because she can't, believe anything's gonna happen to her. Not at this point. She's just, there's nothing to point that to her having to worry about anything. We as the audience know different. She doesn't. So she goes on with her day. I just love that little scene. It's coincidental, and we move on. She's going to continue her day. The flashbacks, getting the backstory, again, for 1984, they look really good because of the practical effects. Now, I've mentioned this, and I'm going to mention it multiple times in this review and the next review. I mentioned this, I believe, when I did the review of Aliens, which is also James Cameron. He is a really, really big fan of what's called rear projection. And what that means is the actors are acting in front of a huge screen that has something already filmed on it and going on behind it, and you think that's where they're at, but they're not. It's called rear projection. So you film like, I think I mentioned it when this isn't happening, man. This isn't happening. Bill Paxton, the plane, the spaceship crashes after the aliens attack or whatever, and the spaceship crashes, and it's like one of the obviously rear projection scenes in that film. Like, some of them you can get away with, you can't really tell. This one is just like painfully obvious that it's rear projection, because the depth perception is messed up a little. You can see that the actors are on one plane and the rear projection is on one plane. Anyway, you notice it a couple of times in this film. A couple of times it's a little rough and you're like, eh, but for the most part, it's really not that bad. It doesn't have that obvious, like, oh God, that is so rear projection. And I'll talk about that in Terminator 2, because there's one or two scenes where it's obvious rear projection, but for the most part, you can't tell. It's really well. I can, because I have this weird eye that sees little things. I've mentioned it before, where I can see when a film is being rewound instead of forwarded, or when I notice a film is being fast forwarded, which I did notice in this film. Car chases, multiple car chases, they have sped up the film to make it look like things are going quicker. I did notice that a couple of times. So anyway, James Cameron, huge fan of rear projection special effects. And it works. It's just he doesn't do that now. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a huge fan of the Aviator films, but Avatar, not Aviator. Avatar films, I'm not a big fan of them, but I don't think I ever saw any rear projection, just a ton of CGI. Like half of it is, and that's fine. I love that. Yeah. All that's to say, it's still the practical effects for the future scenes for 1984. They look great. It's done well. I love that Matt mixes up Sarah and Ginger when he's like, I'm going to rip the buttons off your blouse one by one. Again, we're talking about I did the note again. Did we lose this in film? We're talking about just a day in her life. We still haven't. There isn't much she's doing yet that's furthering the plot. She's just being her. We see everything else going on around her. We as the audience know there's something coming. She doesn't. She's just having a day. She's getting ready for date night. Her and Ginger. Which is funny with the Walkmans. I mean, there's so much that's dated, and I love it. I love watching it because I grew up in the 80s, and the nostalgia of it is wonderful. Just, the furniture, the look of the furniture and the clothes and the hairstyle, it's all nostalgia. But I love that we're just having a day with her. Like nothing is, she's not on edge. She's not worried. That coincidental thing was just, the other Sarah Connor being killed. It was just coincidental that her name was the same. How many Sarah Connors are there going to be? Well, according to the phone book, there's only 3 in the area, but still, it's one of those, she's just having a real day. And I've said that 100 times. I'm not going to say it again. But anyway, I love that we're still just having the day with her and nothing serious is going on. I love Paul Winfield and Lance Henriksen. That chemistry is brilliant. Those guys are great in this film. Great character actors. I've seen them both in plenty of other things. And I like them both. They're both really good actors. And in this film, they're great together. They're great chemistry feeding off each other. The lines are very well written. It's a really good pairing. Okay, so I have my review cap on. So there are things that there's at least one thing that I recognized tonight that I never really recognized and never really thought of until tonight or yesterday when I'm reviewing it. And it's, whatever happened to Pugsley? Like, what happened to Pugsley? We know Sarah's mom dies. Spoiler alerts, people. We know that, so she doesn't really have family. We know that eventually, Ginger dies and Matt died. What happens to Pugsley? At the end of the film, Sarah's in that Jeep with a dog, a German Shepherd, but no Pugsley. Like, we just forgot about Pugsley? I just noticed tonight, I was like, wait, what happened to Pugsley? The message on the machine. Hello? Ha! Fooled you. You're talking to machine. But don't be shy. Machines need love too. So talk to it. And Ginger, that's me, or Sarah, will get back to you. So back in the 90s, I put that on my phone, mobile phone. And my mom hated it because she fell for it over and over and over. And she left me a voicemail one time. She goes, I hate your voicemail because I fall for it every time. Needless to say, I do not use that as my voice message anymore. But I remember, listening to it in the movie. Okay. Here we finally... There's a second Sarah Connor, Sarah Ann, Sarah Louise. There's now a second Sarah Connor, who has been killed. Now it's serious. Now we finally see Sarah getting sucked into what's going on. She's no longer just having a day, like I said. She is now part of the drama. And now she is aware and scared of something going on. And I love that Kyle is watching her and she believes that he's the one, she's in danger of him. We as the audience know different, but she doesn't. And I love that she's like watching him and worried about him, and she goes into the tech noir. I fucking love this tech noir. I love that scene. But anyway, she goes in and she watches him pass, and she calls the police. I love that she's mistaken him. But now she's in the story. Ginger and her music. I think it's hilarious. Even during sex, he's like turning it up for her during sex. Again, I made this note. Have we lost this in film? So after sex, Matt falls asleep. He's a guy. Most guys post-coital will get tired or fall asleep. It's not like not many men, at least not that I've known, after post-coital, after sex, have a rush of energy. Whereas she has this rush of energy now. She gets up and she goes to make a sandwich. Pugsley's up there. She freaks out about, I'm going to make a belt out of you. And then she's making a sandwich. She's listening to her music, she's making the sandwich and getting milk and like putting it on a plate. Now, it's just, it's such a wonderful thing to see somebody just being human, just being real and authentic. We're not trying to get anywhere. She's not trying to get anywhere. She's actually we're trying to waste time at this point because the Terminator is attacking Matt in the room. So we're trying to honestly waste time with her, but we're still showing her be human. And it's fantastic. And I love it. And how many times do we just take this time to do this and to show this? Did I see that in the Amateur? I just saw the Amateur recently. Did I see any? No. See, most of the stuff that he does is making a point about who he is and about who she is. This is not so much making a point about who Ginger is, because we're not really care too much about who Ginger is. But maybe, maybe I'm just looking at it wrong, and maybe some of the stuff he does, especially in the beginning of the Amateur, really is showing about who he is and what he's doing and how he is being, without any kind of like, let me show you in a backstory, let me show you in a flashback. Anyway, I just love that she's just it's life. She's just being human, and then obviously, the Terminator's attacking. She freaks out. The Terminator's attacking. I love this camera angle when she goes down. He shoots her. She's running away. Shoots Ginger. She goes down. And then he comes up on her like Jolly Green Giant. Like, the camera angle is gorgeous, looking up at an angle at the Terminator. And he straddles her, one foot on one side, one on the other, and shoots her. And I just love that camera angle. Emotionless, shoots her and kills her, and it's just wonderful camera angle. And then the machine goes on, and he, sights the machine, because he also was fooled by it. Okay, so now he knows. The machine picks up, and it's Sarah. Hey, Ginger, this is Sarah. Boom. Now he knows that who he killed was not Sarah Connor. He had an address. In the phone book, it doesn't say there are two people living there. In the phone book, it doesn't say Sarah has a roommate. In the phone book, it doesn't say any of that. So he assumes that he's killed Sarah Connor because he hasn't asked for a name like the first Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor? Yes. He knows it's Sarah Connor, a Sarah Connor, so he kills her. This, he just goes in to kill, and we never get to see the second Sarah Connor being killed. So this is the third, and he just goes in and he assumes he's got Sarah Connor, but it's not. It's Ginger. And I love that he finds out by listening to the message. And now he looks for, okay, I need to know what Sarah Connor looks like. Somewhere around here, there has to be a picture. So he starts going through things. He finds her mother's address. He finds the address book with her mother's address, probably some other stuff. Finally finds her ID, her college ID or something like that. Can't remember exactly what it was, but boom, now he's got a picture. Now he knows who he's going after. Double threat. Now we're scared. Because in the we as the audience, they haven't said, but I'm sure we're smart enough to pick up when he looks in the phone book that he doesn't know which Sarah Connor he's after. Excuse me. So we're smart enough as the audience to know he's not sure which Sarah Connor, and he's killed two so far, and we are following, as the audience, we are following Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. So now the threat is even more real because he knows what she looks like. Hey, that guy didn't pay. I love this scene because when the Terminator goes into tech noir, hey, that guy didn't pay, and the bouncer grabs Arnold by the shoulder and he just like crushes his hand, and without emotion, fucking Arnold, just great. Without emotion, he's a Terminator. He just crushes his arm and never loses sight of where he's going and what he's looking for. He doesn't pay attention to the guy he doesn't care. It shows off that power of the Terminator, not like we haven't already seen it with the fight with Matt when he's throwing him around, but it shows off the power of the Terminator, but also kind of fun, like shows off, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, come on. Okay. I fucking love this scene. somebody once said, well, building tension, building tension. One of the best examples, I think I saw a YouTube video. One of the best examples of building tension, building tension, building tension, and then payoff, amazing payoff, is in Sicario. And I love Denis Villeneuve, like fucking amazing. He's like my number 2 favorite director. Okay. And there's and even when I saw it, before I saw this YouTube video, even when I saw Sicario, I was like, God, that was amazing. Like just amazing. Because he builds the tension, builds the tension, builds the tension, and then there is a wonderful payoff. This, I forget that this also has this, because I've seen it so many times, if you allow yourself to just be in the world and forget the fact that you already know what's going on and what happens, that Sarah's not going to die, you know that, but if you just let all that go and accept the world that you're in, accept the time that you're in, I don't know the rest of the movie, I just know up until now, then you realize, and I forget to do this sometimes, you realize what amazing tension this scene, and it is pretty quick, but what amazing tension this scene builds. We know the Terminator knows what she looks like now. We know she has mistaken Kyle for being the murderer who has murdered these 2 Sarah Connors. She's waiting for the police. She's already called, so we know the police are coming. She's trying to just chill because she's been assured by the police that in a public place, she's safe. We know she's not because the Terminator's not just going to stop. So there's that tension. And the Terminator walks in and who's going to get her? Who's going to get her? The last time we saw Kyle, he was outside. She was trying to avoid him. We know the police are coming, but they're not here yet. She knocks over her drink as the Terminator goes by. She goes down for it, and he goes by, and we're like, like bated breath. If you really just accept what's going on and nothing else, you're like bated breath. Like, holy shit, he almost got her. She gets up and notices Kyle at the bar. So she's freaking out because how did he get in? How did he get in and I didn't see it? We know she's safe. She doesn't. So here's that tension. Then the Terminator turns and sees her, and now we're like, as the audience, we're like, oh shit. She doesn't know there's any threat from the Terminator. She thinks the threat's at Kyle. It's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. Rewatch this scene. It's gorgeous. She thinks the tension is at the bar with Kyle. Kyle is looking to find her in the mirror. I think he's looking in the mirror at that point, scanning, because he doesn't know what the Terminator looks like. The Terminator zeroes in on her and then comes in, and we're like, as the audience, we're like, oh, what's going to happen? If you just allow yourself, what's going to happen? She doesn't know that's the threat. We know that's the threat. He's coming after her. Is Kyle going to be able to stop him? Did Kyle see him yet? And then finally, as he zeroes in and draws, Kyle draws, and it's just like, yes! Kyle stops him. Again, Arnold's the bad guy. We're not rooting for Arnold at this point. You know, we root in Arnold for every other movie he's in, except for this one. He's the bad guy, which I love. And so we're like, yes, Kyle stopped him. Kyle, you know, it's just that scene is so great. It's so great. All the misdirection, all the tension on so many different on so many different sides, but it goes pretty quick. Very, very, very well done. James Cameron, like fantastic. Very well done. There's a reason why he's made such amazing fucking movies throughout his career. I just love it. When I noticed this, you may not, or may not have, when Kyle first shoots down the Terminator and he falls, and we see the Terminator's hand fall and then move, that's not Arnold's hand. It's not. That guy's hand is totally wrong. I don't know whose hand that is, but it's not Arnold's hand. Rewatch the film. Watch it. The first time he falls, you see his hand. He's still in the club. He doesn't fall outside. He's falling inside. The first time he's shot by Kyle, he goes down. That hand is not his. You can see it. The nails are wrong. The fingers are too small. It's just not Arnold's hand. shooting the Terminator out the window. Okay, they recreate so many things in the second one, and they're not trying to recreate the first film, which is brilliant. They've done such a great job. This is why this Terminator 2 sequel is so amazing, is because, and even Aliens, James Cameron did such a great job with these two sequels because he has deviated from the original. I don't want to do the original, but I still want to throw in some original nostalgia. Okay? So this scene when Kyle shoots the Terminator and he falls outside of the club, they recreate that scene in the second one. We'll talk about that when I do that review, but I love that classic scene of Arnold falling. Now, if you watch that second fall, Arnold falling out of the window, out of Tech Noir, onto the sidewalk, and he falls. Look at his hand there. That's Arnold's hand. Unmistakably. And so different from the hand we saw before. Absolutely, completely different hands. The first one's not his. The second one absolutely is his. Love that shot. Come with me if you want to live. Okay. Now it's a classic line. What made that line classic is the second film. Such a weird turnabout, such a weird thing for history. I don't ever remember "Come with me if you want to live" being a big tag until Arnold says it in the second one. Then it was like, oh, they said that in the first one. Then it becomes a thing, whereas Kyle saying it wasn't enough, or just maybe the scene wasn't enough, or whatever, wasn't quite enough to like make that a thing. But great line. Again, Michael Biehn he's like 1,000% believable. I should say 1,000, not 100. He's just amazing in this film. Believe every second. I love Sarah's shock and awe when the Terminator gets up after being shot. I love in the alley when they're running after the Terminator vision. I think this is the first time we see it. The red Terminator vision. I'm like, yes, that is great. I love it. It's the first time we as the audience get to see it, and it's great. This is what he's seeing. They actually put acid on Arnold, his jacket, and on him and around him to get him to smoke like that. It wasn't real fire. It was acid to get him to smoke like that. Michael Biehn's intensity in this scene, when they finally get in the car and they're going away, and he's like, are you hurt? Listen to me. When they're driving, his intensity is brilliant. It's perfect. It's just, it fits the scene. What are you there to do? You are there to save humanity. If you don't save this woman from this Terminator, humanity is doomed. The intensity of him and her not knowing what's going on, it's fucking amazing. Like, he's just brilliant in this film. Here's the first instance where we get that the Terminator can sound like anyone. When he imitates the police officer, he took his car. When he imitates that police officer, this is 1L19, and it's obviously not Schwarzenegger. Obviously not. That's cool. Like, as the audience, you're going, oh, he can do that too? That's cool. I mean, later on he does it. But I mean, this is the first time we hear it, and we're like, holy crap, that's cool. Interesting that Michael Biehn, interesting that Kyle says 101. And Arnold, as the Terminator, says 101. 0 and O. One is a number, one is a letter. It's interesting that Kyle, as a human, says 0, the accurate, and Schwarzenegger, as the Terminator, says O. Just saying. That's kind of rings false. Wouldn't the Terminator say 101 and Kyle maybe say 101? Or both, because he's military. So maybe he would say 101. I don't ever think Kyle saying it is off. He says it brilliantly, perfectly. Believe him 100%. Because he's military, 101. Absolutely accurate, perfect. I just find when Arnold says 101, I'm assuming maybe it has something to do with his accent. He didn't want to say 101, or maybe Cameron talked him out of it. Who knows what? I just find that false. Like, I would think the Terminator would actually say 101. Ditch. I gotta ditch this car. Like, I remember saying that as a kid. And even as a teenager, ditch. But I haven't heard that in like common language in so long. I don't think I've ever heard in the past 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. I don't think I've ever heard anybody use ditch. I'm going to ditch you, you know, let's ditch him. We used to say that as kids and as teenagers. Here's the line. Here's the scene. So when I was like, okay, most memorable line, of course I'll be back. But then every time I think of this movie, I also think of this line. And in my head, I can hear and see this scene being played at the Oscars because Michael Biehn should have been at least nominated. When he says, that Terminator is out there. It can't be reasoned with. It can't be bargained with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead. Now, he does it way better than me. I'm just saying it. And it's a great fucking line. And he makes it better by his performance. But this whole scene where he's trying to get her to calm down and realize this is really happening is Oscar worthy. He's just amazing in this film. Amazing in this film. And that shows it off. And other scenes too, I'll talk about. But he's just, I love that line. I love that scene. So now that he's gotten her, Kyle has finally gotten Sarah to accept what's going on. Now we're all on the same page. We know where the characters stand. We know who's who. And the characters also know the same. So now finally, halfway through the film, we're all on the same page. Got it. This quick backstory that he's talking about, this is always the challenge in films. When you have an action film, or you have a film like this that has a lot going on, it can be a real challenge when you want to give backstory, but you don't want to fuck up the pacing of the movie, which is real easy to do. Okay, now we have to do backstory and take you out of the story and take you out of what's going on and disrupt the flow of the film because we need to tell you backstory. Happens all the time. This, brilliant as James Cameron is, does not do that. It doesn't fuck up the pacing. It keeps the tension. It's absolutely appropriate because Sarah is still trying to figure out what's going on. Sarah is still trying to accept the gravity of the situation. And he has to give her backstory, but they're trying to lay low. They're trying to chill. They're trying to steal a new car. So it feels correct. It doesn't ruin the pacing. We still see the Terminator coming in, searching. Very well done. Very well done. I love that little backstory. I've got to tell you something. Got to give you more background to what's going on. Who John Connor is. You know, that kind of thing. Love it. I've seen this. Okay, I just wrote this note because I had to. I've seen this so many times, and yet it's still intense. When you know, I mean, all of it, it's still intense. If I just allow myself to watch it, no distractions. I mean, I'm a little distracted because I'm making notes. But if I allow myself to just watch it without distractions, it's still intense. You know, when he tries to start the car, it's not starting. Terminator finds him. They go on a chase. They're shooting after each other. They're going. It's just, it really is intense. And you're just like, you know what's going to happen, but it's still, it's done so well that I still feel the tension after hundreds and hundreds, literally hundreds of views. we cheer. Like, yeah! We cheer when he gets the Terminator. When he shoots him, the Terminator runs into the wall, and we're like, yeah! Done! But then the Terminator isn't there when the police go, oh, shit. Like, really, really great fake. Really great fake. Because I think they got him. They got him. I mean, when he runs into the wall and you see that, I mean, obviously it's not Arnold. It's a dummy. Like, bounce and like, you're like, he's dead. He's done. He's done. I mean, we don't get, as the audience, we don't get the immortality of a fucking Terminator. We don't get it. And so we were like, yeah, he's dead. That would kill any normal person, right? And so we kind of get duped into the fact that he's human. He's kind of, we haven't seen enough Terminator to really get that he's unstoppable. And we think he's stopped. But then the police go look in the car and he's not there. Now okay, we get it. He's that's not going to stop him. Something like that's not going to stop him. What Earl Bowen as Dr. Silverman. What a great, fun little character. And again, have we lost this in film today? We allow this character to just be human. If we put a therapist, psychologist, criminal psychologist, whatever he calls himself, if we put that character in a film today, we have to say he has to look a certain way. He or she, sorry, because it can be a he or she. I've seen plenty of she's in this type of role. Absolutely. So they have to look a certain way. They have to behave a certain way. When I'm casting, which is the major problem with casting, honestly, I'm going to say it. The major problem with casting is I need to see the character in 5 seconds in your audition. Otherwise, you can't. They're not casting actors anymore. They're casting a character. And so if they don't see what they're looking for in 5 seconds, they're done. And that's the fucked up thing with casting nowadays. You're not casting an actor anymore, which Earl Bowen is an actor. And what I love about this scene is we're not going to typecast a criminal psychologist. We're not going to typecast him. We're going to allow him to just be human. Why? Because he's fucking human. First and foremost. And what I love is the more human we show in this film, the more people we show being human, the more we realize the Terminator is the exact 180 opposite. Like, not human at all. And I don't know if James Cameron meant that or not, but I appreciate that watching it now as an adult. Like, we get to see humans being human, and it's a stark contrast to the Terminator being a Terminator. And Silverman is another example of him just being him yawning, him being like almost like non-committal with what he's doing. He's being lackadaisical about how he's doing things. He's just a person who happens to be a criminal psychologist. He doesn't fit a mold, which nowadays, if we're hiring somebody to be that character, we want them to fit a mold, which we're trying to not do that, but we are doing that, which we're not doing that, but we're, it's that catch-22. Why don't you just let an actor be human, but also a criminal psychologist, which is what Earl Bowen does. And it's wonderful. Okay. I almost couldn't read this, but it says hokey. Okay. I know, I can acknowledge, as much as I love this, and I am prejudiced of the fact that I love this fucking film. I know I have I'm not I forget the term. I forget the term. Anyway, I am biased. I love this film. So of course I'm going to gush over this film. Okay? I also, as a cinephile, and trying to be honest and true with you in this review, get that this scene is fucking hokey now. When you watch it now in 2025, you're like, Jesus, that looks bad. When the Terminator comes in, he's injured and he goes to repair himself. All these repair scenes with his arm and his eye and everything like that. I get that a lot of it's really bad. I know. It's as bad as I loved watching Jurassic Park when I was a kid and was just in awe of how beautiful it is. But if you go back and watch Jurassic Park now and you're like, some of the dinosaurs look really bad. Like they look like they have this film over them that's just really bad. They look, and you have to accept that and just be like, yeah, but at the time it was fucking groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. So anybody born in the 2000s didn't get in 1993. That was groundbreaking. And anybody born in the 2000s is not going to get that as a kid in the 80s watching this movie was like, holy shit, it looked great. It looked great in the 80s. And I get that it's not. But I still love these scenes where he's repairing himself. When he fixes his arm, that thing in his arm is like, it's not working. When he's all opened up and you see the thing. My brother, Drew, he's an amazing artist. I wish he did more with his art, but he has his life to live. He once drew this gorgeous, quick little picture of something being opened up and mechanics inside, which looked very much like the Terminator opening up his arm and the mechanics inside. And I always wanted that as a tattoo on my forearm, like of the mechanic. The only thing that ever really stopped me is I never really wanted a tattoo that would show like that because I want to be an actor and I don't want that. But nowadays, Dwayne Johnson, like half of his fucking body is tattooed, and I guess it's no big deal. But I always loved the look of that opening and the mechanics inside, just amazing. And then the eye, let's. I have so many notes, like back and forth. I've seen this so many times that I put notes before and then other scenes come up and then I put notes and I'm like, oh, but that, and then the scene does come up and I put more notes. So this is all a little jumbled. They go back and forth a lot. So this is a little jumbled. The eye thing, when Arnold takes his eye out, always creeped me out as a kid. I was like always kind of like creeped out as a kid, but in a good way, like good creeped out. Like I want to see this. Like watching surgery. Like I want to see it, but I'm kind of creeped out by it. Arnold, I noticed in this film, has hitchhiker thumbs. Do you know what hitchhiker thumbs are? It's when your thumb has that angle. It's not like, it's not smooth like transition like a wrist would be, but it has that angle. Like mine do that. That big angle. That's called a hitchhiker thumb. It's more noticeable in Total Recall when he's like the blood on his hands and he's like, look at my hands. But I noticed it in this, like, oh my God, like me. He has hitchhiker thumbs like me. I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm going to do this note now and not later. When he goes to cut the eye out, whoops, mistake. There's no knife in the X-Acto knife. There's no blade in it. So they do the cutaway scene where he's picking up the blade off of the counter, the sink, and it has the blade in it. I mean, I know what an X-Acto knife is. I've used it plenty of times. So it has the blade in it. But when he motions to go up, and you're looking, actually it's from this angle. He motions to go up to go to this eye. He motions to go up. I guess this is the one time where I'm making a video where you should probably watch the video instead of just listening. He goes up to go like this to put it in his eye, and there's no blade in it. And you're like, wait, what just happened to the blade? Well, because he's about to put it close to his eye because he doesn't want the blade in there. So it looks like without the blade, he can go much deeper and look like it's going in and then make that motion where he cuts it out. It's a great effect. It's just they accidentally edited that scene too soon where you see that the blade is not there when he goes up to his eye. Anyway, I noticed that a long time ago and had to put it in my notes. Every movie, if you watch it enough times, you will find little things that are like, oh, Superman has wires on his back. Well, of course, because he can't really fly, and you notice these little things. Oh, there's you see the bus going by and you see the camera crew in the reflection of the bus. Well, of course. Anyway, I noticed that and had to put it in the notes. Retroactive abortion. That makes me crack up. Just like Lance Henriksen's character, it makes him crack up. It makes me crack up. Retroactive abortion. Who wrote that line? That's a great line. I love it. Again, I believe Michael Biehn 1,000%. When he's being interrogated, just every scene in this movie, he is just perfect. And that's why I say he deserved at least a nomination. Like every scene, he is just 100% Kyle Reese. 100% Kyle Reese. I believe it. I didn't build the fucking thing. Again, on another one of those amazing lines I can never forget. And every time it comes up, I'm like, yes. When he's like, nothing dead will go. And he's, why? And he's like, well, I didn't build the fucking thing. I love it. Great line. He delivers it perfectly. Again, Michael Biehn. I love that. I use love too many because I love these movies. When Silberman and the Terminator pass each other in the foyer of the police department, Silberman gets a beep. His beeper goes off and he goes down to look at it, and the Terminator comes into the station and goes this way, and then Silberman goes. Just wonderful idea to have them cross each other's paths like that. I'll be back. Like I said before, Arnold really didn't want to say that. Him and Cameron fought over that line, and then here it is, like the best fucking line of the movie. But it's not just... Was it Arnold? I saw an interview where, I think it was Arnold, you never really know what movie... what line in the movie is really going to be that iconic line. And a lot of movies have it. Almost every movie will have some kind of line. I mean, if it's a memorable movie, it'll have a memorable line. And Arnold talks about how you never really know, especially when you're making the movie, that is the line. That's the one. That's, put that cookie down now. You never know that's going to be, it's not a tumor. It's not. You never know that's going to be the line. He said. And he sure didn't know that this would be the line of the ages. And I think, in my opinion, it's not just the line or how he delivers it that makes it that line of the movie. It's what happens directly after. And I wrote all these notes because I love what happens after. When he says, I'll be back. And he turns, and that's not the end of it. As the audience, you're like, that's not the end of it. And he walks out of the station. But like I said, as the audience, that's not the end of it. And I love that quick cut scene where we're listening to and watching the officer filling out forms with a pencil. Brilliant that it's a pencil. I love it. In cursive, filling it out. Quick scratching. And then the car just right through the foyer, right into the police officer, just crashes in. And you're like, yeah, that's what made I'll Be Back more memorable. It's because of what happened directly after. Whereas sometimes it's just the line. This one, there was more to it, and then becomes an iconic line of film history. Lance Henriksen. Okay, so Lance Henriksen is the only, if I recall, the only actor to ever be killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a Predator. He's the only actor to be killed by all three. And this is the Terminator, the scene where he gets shot and killed by the Terminator. We never see him actually get shot and killed, but we know. I mean, he shot at the Terminator. Terminator turns and fires both guns at him. Love the music. So much like Legend, and I believe I said it in my review of Legend, there's this quick part when we go to the kitchen or whatever it's called, the kitchen, and there's this quick flute that's just brilliant, and it doesn't last long, but it's like, oh, every time I hear it, I'm like, love it. When they're getting the reflecting things in the kitchen in Legend, this same thing. There's this quick, it is a synthesizer, but it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I love it. There's another one at the end of this film, but this one I love. I probably like this more than the one at the end of the film, and I'll talk about the one at the end of the film. I love that one too. But this one is just amazing. This little, maybe 10-second part, maybe less, maybe 8-second part, where Kyle finds Sarah and then they run to get out of the police department. The whole 5, 8, 10-second scene of them running out, and that music, that quick music when the Terminator's on the hunt. It's just great. I love that music there. What a brilliant idea to have Kyle be John Connor's dad. Was this the original idea for Kyle, or did they kind of just, as they developed the characters and moved on with the script, they go, oh, well, of course. Or was it originally always Kyle was gonna be John Connor's dad? I don't know, because I didn't write it and I wasn't there when it was written. But such a brilliant idea, and they talk about, you wouldn't happen to know who he is, so I won't tell him to get lost or something like that. And he's like, I know he dies before the war, and she stops him. I love that little thing, because now we as the audience, having seen it multiple times, realize Kyle is John's father, and we're watching them have that conversation, and it's great. You're talking about things I haven't even done yet in the past tense. It's driving me nuts. Love that line. She delivers it great. What a great line. I love it. Okay, so my only true beef with these two movies, love these movies, my only true beef is this message that John gives to Kyle to give to Sarah. This is the original film, 1984. This is the original quote, the original message. Thank you, Sarah, for your courage through the dark years. I can't help you with what you must soon face, except to say that the future is not set. You must be stronger than you imagine you can be. You must survive, or I will not exist. That's it. He even says, that's it. That's all. Or he says, that's all, or that's it. That's the message. They change it for the second one. I'll talk about it in my review of the second one. They change it, and it pisses me off. How easy is it to just leave it that? You have the original film from 1984. Just leave it be what it is. It's a great message. And you can still get the essence of that in the second film without changing it. But they change it. We'll talk about that later. Why? Why change it? That's a note for later. Oh, the underground scene of the future is so beautiful. It doesn't look to me like a set. It doesn't look to me like makeup. Like these guys are fake. They have fake makeup, fake clothes, fake set. It looks gorgeous. It looks real. It looks authentic. The people acting look real and authentic. I believe I am in that space. And I don't know how they did it. And for a film in 1984, I'm like shocked that that scene is so real and authentic and feels real and looks real. The photo of Sarah Connor. Here's where we see the photo of Sarah Connor. He opens it, he looks at it, and the music is so perfect. It's so brilliant. I love the music there. Arnold's friend, Franco Columbo, is the Terminator in that scene. Franco's been in other films of Arnold's. I know he was in Conan the Barbarian, but I think he was in a couple other ones, or at least one. Oh no, he was in The Running Man. So I mean, he's been in a couple of Schwarzenegger's film, and here's where he is in this one. He is that Terminator that comes in and barges in there in the future. As a kid, I never understood when the janitor asks the Terminator, "You got a dead cat in there?" And he says, "Fuck you, asshole." I never understood that as a kid. When I got older and realized it's the dead tissue. The tissue is dead. There's been so much damage to that outside living tissue that it's dead and rotting and smells disgusting. That's what the guy is commenting on. And the flies on the Terminator's face. I didn't pick that up as a kid. Sarah's mom is in Big Bear. Now that I've been in this area long enough, I have a friend who let me stay at his cousin's cabin in Big Bear. So I've been to Big Bear. And I was like, now I know where Big Bear is in relation to LA. It's like 2 hours away. Jesus. It's like, it's far. The sound of the motorcycle too. I remember as a kid, and I may be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. I remember as a kid, not only the sound of every gun sounding like a wheel gun, a 44 Magnum, but the motorcycles sound like a Harley. And that is clearly not a Harley that he's riding. It looks more like a Yamaha or a Honda that he's riding. But I love that they changed the sound just like they changed the sound for the guns. It now sounds more like what it is, a Honda or a Yamaha, or a Honda or a Yamaha. You must have had a fun childhood when they're making the plastique, the bombs. It's just a fun little, like, they're not really, this is not a comedy. We're not really a comedy writers. We're not going for big laughs, but that gets a great laugh. You know, you must have had a fun childhood. I like that a lot. John Connor gave me a photo of you once. I used to always wonder what you were thinking in that moment. When Kyle confesses this about the picture that John gave him, I don't know why he gave it. I didn't know why at the time. You were young like you are now. You always seemed just a little bit sad. I mean, I always used to wonder what you were thinking in that exact moment. And what we know as the audience, having seen it multiple times, is that she's thinking of him in that moment. And I love that he has that line because it's him that she's thinking of. It's just a beautiful just the writing and the when you watch it multiple times and realize these things are so interwoven in the dialogue, interwoven in the story, you're just like, wow, this is so well written. Such a great fucking film. 1984, 40 years ago, 41. You know, still a brilliant film. Very well done. One of the best. I've said this in other reviews. Because I'm a gay man, there are a lot of times where sex scenes in films don't do it for me. Can't relate, don't like them, don't want to see them. This is not that. This is by far one of the best love scenes, sex scenes I've ever seen in film. The setting is right. The emotion is right. I love that she instigates it. And this is not like films prior to this or of the time. Even Blade Runner. Like, when Harrison Ford's character Deckard, almost lost it. Deckard goes to Rachel and like forces her. He really does force her to kiss, and then kiss him, and then say to kiss me, and then it's mutual. And I remember that same sort of thing in Goldfinger, which is not the 80s. It's way before the 80s. It's 60s, 70s, where Sean Connery forces him, James Bond forces himself on Pussy Galore. Really, she really doesn't want him there. And then slowly she accepts it. And it's like, that's what we have to go with. Anyway, not going to get too into that because it's already an hour and a half. I love this sex scene because I love this love scene and this sex scene because it's Kyle that's vulnerable. It's Kyle that has said things that he regrets. It's Kyle that gave away part of who he is. He opens himself up and regrets it. She's the one that instigates the sex, instigates the connection, and tries to get him to understand it's okay. I want this too. And the fact that they're being chased by a Terminator, logically speaking, it's not like we've interrupted to have this scene, which a lot of sex scenes are like, it just doesn't feel right. Why would they do that? It doesn't, as the characters, it's what's going on. It doesn't feel right. This is, the world is ending. If we don't know if we can stop this guy. We are going to die. And this may be the last connection we ever have. So it feels right. They don't get that time is circular. They don't get he's, we as the audience member go, okay, time travel, it's circular. He's going back to a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's having the kid that saves. So there's no way it's not going to work. Like they say in Terminator 3, like it's inevitable. Like Judgment Day is inevitable. It's going to happen. No matter how you try to stop it, it's still going to happen because that's what do they call it? Watershed moment in history. It's going to happen. So they don't get that. They are dealing with the situation at hand, which is there's a Terminator coming to them and they don't have the tools to stop him. And so it could very well be that they'd be dead very soon. And so this may be the last connection. And so that's what makes this love scene appropriate and different. And even the sex that they show, the nudity and the sex that they show is really quick and well done and elegant and to the point. And the music is amazing. Amazing. It feels right. Everything feels right. That scene, I've said before, there are very few straight sex scenes that I agree with, and this is absolutely one of them. Brilliant scene. Love it, love it, love it. I love that there's this quick shadow of Kyle being different post sex. There's a little, he is not so hard, he's not so repressed. There's a lightness, a little bit of a lightness to him until the Terminator shows up. I love the bombs I've always loved the look, the sound, the colors of the blue, the color of the chase. Terminator chasing the truck and the bombs and the smoke when they're going off in the tunnel. Love that tunnel scene. It's just great. I love that now we see Sarah starting to change. We see her starting to be a little more in control when the car flips and she's like, get up, get up. We start seeing her take the lead, which is what we need. I know that we're real close to the end of the film, so we're not going to get a whole lot, but at least we get to see some of it. And she does a good job. Get out. When Arnold takes the truck, get out. Okay, I'm scared of him. He's half machine because he's so torn up at that point, and he's, half human or looking kind of human. Of course, get out. Yeah, I'm getting out. Oh, don't know if you noticed this or not, but the truck is the company name on the side of the truck is J&G Oil Company. J, James Cameron. G, Gail Ann Hurd. Didn't they date? I think they dated. I don't know if they married, but yes. So James and Gail Oil Company. You may or may not have known that. The truck explosion. One of the, like I said earlier, James Cameron is a very big fan of rear projection. This is one of the times where it looks real bad. Even in the 80s, I was like, God, that looks fake. So this is one of the times where rear projection doesn't work quite as great, but you don't want to put the actors in danger. So the best way to do it is rear projection. Have that big screen, the actors act in front of it. But unfortunately, as the audience, I can easily tell that she's acting in front of a big screen. When truck explodes. And then, when the truck explodes, I always, as a kid, nowadays sometimes it's not as bad. I'm like, oh, there goes Arnold. No more Arnold. Like, Arnold's gone. Terminator's still there, but Arnold's not. So little screen time, so few lines, and yet he is still considered one of the top bad guys of all time, the Terminator. The funny thing is, Arnold is considered one of the top villains of all time and one of the top heroes of all time, playing the same exact character, the Terminator. One of the best. Terminator is one of the best villains. Terminator is one of the best heroes, both played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But so classic, and really, honestly, like I said, so little screen time, so few words spoken. Classic. Okay, so now we see the age of the bad special effects, and we see the exoskeleton coming down the hall, and we're like, oh, that looks cartoonish. It looks real rough, because they have almost Harryhausen style, like, done stop animation with this skeleton and then superimposed it in the film, and it looks rough. Because all of Harryhausen, that was kind of the point of Harryhausen, is it had that look to it. It wasn't real. It wasn't, you could tell it was fake, and this, you can tell it's fake. When they do the close-ups, it's great. When they do the back and you see it moving too much, it's just real bad. You can see it superimposed. But it's still, regardless of that, it's still a great film. I love it. Move on your feet, soldier. Finally, she's really coming into her. Like I said, she's at that turning point. She's turning into, the Sarah Connor we need her to be. Kyle pulls the last bomb out and lights it. Here is that music again. Like I said earlier, like Legend, that real quick music, so great. Love the sound of it, and they only use it for a few seconds. This is even shorter. It's probably only 3, maybe 5 seconds. But that, just, I fucking love the music there. When Kyle pulls out the last bomb and lights it and sticks it in the Terminator, that music. I used to try to replicate that on that little. I used to try to replicate it on, the little, as a kid, the little thing with the colored metal plates, and you hit it with the beep, 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 beep. I used to try to replicate that music with that little thing. Kyle's dead. I kind of expected that. I feel like we, as the audience, knew that was coming. Kyle was going to die. So it wasn't a shock to me when it happened. And then still not over. Like, okay, and now we get the longevity, the durability, the resilience, the non-stopping power of the Terminator. Like, we have shot it, broken parts of it, blown it up, blown it up again, and still it's coming. I love it. I love it. It's great. It absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. Now we understand that line. It is still coming. Love the... Okay, one of my favorite lines of this film is Sarah Connor at the end. You're terminated, fucker. It's the same... And again, James Cameron. It's the same emotion and as Sigourney Weaver, as Ripley saying, "Get away from her, you bitch." In Aliens, it's the same thing. It's like, yes, you're Terminator, fucker. I mean, she doesn't have... It's not delivered the same way, with the same angst, with the same power, with the same emotion. But in my opinion, it has that same feel to it. You're terminated, fucker. She barely, it's not like loud and energetic. It's just, I have a tank top that said, "You're terminated, fucker." Love it. Love that line. Love it. Okay, now we move on to the very end of the film. Should I tell you about your father? Boy, that's a tough one. And I love this line where she said, she's talking about, It might help that if you know that the few hours you spent together, we lived a we loved a lifetime, not lived, we loved a lifetime. And then boom, the picture is taken. That picture that Kyle talks about. So now we as the audience know that's what she was thinking about when he's like, I used to always wonder what you're thinking about in that moment. Well, now we know where that picture comes from and what she was thinking. She was thinking about Kyle. And do I tell my son about Kyle, your father? Love it. Pretty good hustle, kid. When the kid's like, $3, $5 or whatever, my son is going to beat me. And the kid says, there's a storm coming. He says, there's a storm coming. And she's like, I know. That's Terminator. The original Terminator. Fucking love the movie. It's so great. I've seen it so many times. Wonderful acting. For a film that's 41 years old, it holds up. It's fantastic. I can show this to a friend of mine today who's never seen it, and they would probably like it. I'm not saying as much because there are parts that are dated, but still, it holds up. It is great. Terminator. And I'm going to try to... It's almost 1 o'clock. I'm going to try to review Terminator 2 tonight. I know it's going to be a little long. I'll get you the video for Terminator, my review of Terminator, probably Friday. It's, 1 o'clock a.m. Friday right now. Hopefully I can edit it and get it to you Friday. And then next week sometime, or maybe Sunday or something, maybe just a couple of days after, I'll get Terminator 2 edited and uploaded. So thank you very much for listening. That's Terminator. We're going to get Terminator 2 real quick. And then I only have, after that, 3 more that will qualify in the book. So after Terminator 2, there will be 3 more. Thanks a lot for listening. Talk to you soon.